Okay, let's do this.
Hey guys, today we're going to look at programming language Scratch 3, and you open up here, you go to Scratch 3. We're using Scratch 3 because we're on a Raspberry Pi 4. You open it up and it takes about 30 to 40 seconds to open up. But to give you some background information, Scratch 3 is a block-based programming language, which you might have seen if you see more, I'm going to call them entry-level programming initiatives, areas that people who are just learning can sort of uh, get their toes wet with programming. It's actually a lot more powerful than I had initially thought it was going to be, and the benefit is that it's visual based. It's not necessarily the standard text-based programming, which the more powerful languages are based on. Okay, so for this example, we're going to have the sprite, which is a cat. We're going to have him walk forward across this little area, turn around, and walk back. Something very beginner and user friendly, and it'll show an example on how easy Scratch is to learn. So we're going to start off by with this cat, and this cat is the default sprite that is loaded from Scratch 3. So we're going to, I always like to put them on the left side. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the motion section and we're going to say, okay, we're going to drag this over. This is your canvas that you work with. And we're not going to say 10 steps. We're going to say 300 steps. That's probably about the distance here. And you can just double click on it and you can see how far that is. So yes, he moved across about 300 steps. So once he gets there, he's going to turn around and then he's going to come back. So we're going to say, okay, we're going to drag this over and you can see they're just like toy blocks that you had when you were a kid. They lock together as long as they have that. So we're going to say he's going to come back a negative 300 steps, right? So now we're going to say go forward 300, go back 300. But we need a way to kick this off, right? So we're going to go to events, right? And they've got a lot of things here. This is a starting block, as you can see. Nothing can be clicked or attached ahead of it, on top of it. So we're going to say, when you click the go button, that's when you execute this block of code. When I say execute, that's the starting point that says go forward and start running this program, and it goes from the top down. So when we click this, it's going to go forward and then it's going to go back 300 steps. So and it actually that executed, but it moved so fast it went back and back you didn't even see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag one of these control, if we go down to the control button or tab, we're going to throw one of these wait 1 second in between. So here we go, wait a second and back. Pretty simple. Okay, however, we want it to be a little bit more user friendly or real, as if he's taking steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the costume section. And as you can see, there are two sprites loaded. There is the standard one, which we are seeing, but then there's also one, you can see he's got his foot retracted, making it look like he's taking a step. So I like to name these. So I'm going to say this is cat facing right, and then this is cat right 2. Okay, so now we've got that. So now we can say, okay, instead of just sort of cruising across the screen and not seeing any steps, we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're actually going to drag one of these control sort of groupings over, and we're going to say right there, we're going to say do this 10 times. We're going to say I'm going to drag these out of here for this example. And when they're kind of alone, there's nothing executing them. So when I click on this button, it's only going to execute this little group of code. So it's going to move, why don't we say 15 steps. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait 1 second, which is right here. I'm going to say, wait a second. Actually, I'm going to say wait a quarter of a second. Okay. And what this does, this is basically a loop where it says start when we click on this, but then execute this little subgroup of code 10 times. So we're going to take 15 seconds or 15 steps. We're going to wait a quarter of a second. Then we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again 10 times. So now what you're going to see is this. However, it doesn't look like he's taken a step, right? So we're going to throw in a different command where we're going to switch his costume, which if you recall, these are costumes, okay? We're going to say, switch out that. Right now we're with this this sprite, which is actually the one that's the step one, which actually we have to do something a little different here. We're going to say, we're always going to throw this guy up here. We're going to say start with this one and then execute this, okay? But here's the thing. We're going to do this 10 times, but we want to switch in between this costume and this costume. So we're going to swap out this block of code or duplicate it to do this costume and then this costume one after another. So I'm going to basically, I'm sorry, I went to the wrong one, but we're going to go here. We're going to duplicate this code. We're going to say do this for 15 steps. Okay, and then we're going to wait 25 seconds. A quarter of a second, not 25 seconds. And then I'm going to drag that over here. And then we're going to swap out that costume again. Okay, so now we're going to switch it to the other one, which is just cat right. So as you can see, it's going to repeat this block of code 10 times. And let's do it. We're going to drag this over here to start. I'm going to go boom. And you can see it's swapping out the code. Looks like he's taking little steps, right? All right, but the object is to have him turn around and then come back. So we're going to go up to costumes again, and I want to duplicate this, and I'm going to drag it down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this cat left. Okay, and I'm going to flip it. So now he's facing left. I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to duplicate him. I'm going to move down here. We're going to call him cat left 2, just like we did the other one. And I'm going to flip him. Okay, so now we've got both of those sprites that look like they're taking steps. So at this point, we want to create this entire block again, but have him come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off that block, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to duplicate that entire block. And I'm going to put it down here. I'm going to reattach that guy. I want this guy. I'm going to pull this down. Actually, you can go up here and you can change the view so I have a little bit more space on my canvas. So what we're going to do in between these two blocks, we're going to flip this cat to face the other direction. So what I want to do is I want to switch the cat to show cat left. So now I'm facing left. Then I want to replace or go forward with this. I'm going to repeat this 10 times. So I'm going to take negative 15 steps, because remember, it doesn't matter what the sprite or the cat looks like, which direction he's going. The computer just knows it from left to right. So I'm going to take a negative 15 steps back. I'm also going to do that same thing down here. So it knows to go from right to left. And I'm going to say, switch it from cat left to cat left 2. And then I'm going to change this back to cat left. Okay, so let's switch back to here so I have more space. I'm going to drag this guy over here, and then I'm going to say execute. It's going to walk across. It's going to turn around and walk right back, just like that. And then maybe, why don't we say something at the end? Why don't we have a defining moment at the end? Okay. Now, that can be something like, why don't we have him say, not hello, but rather, woo, I'm tired. All right, so we know he'll say that when he's done. Okay, so now I want to execute this. There you go.
Guys, I hope you liked that. It's pretty straightforward and simple program. Hopefully someone can get into and understand some Scratch 3 programming. But if you have any questions, please ask them below. I'd be more than happy to answer them or open them to the group. So thanks, everybody.